Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Preston M. Smith. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm Preston M. Smith, at PMS Artwork everywhere on internet land and socials. I want to thank you for landing on this podcast. Whether you're a professional artist, just getting started in the art world, a collector of art, or just consider yourself a creative person, this podcast has something for you. I like to think of it as a fun way to rant and talk to other creative people about living the life of an artist, surviving and getting ahead in the art world, and enjoying your life. But most importantly, not waiting until you're dead to make it happen. All right, let's get started.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for this day.
This message is brought to you by Abercrombie Kids, where the activewear is made for every summer activity, so your mini-me can bring their personal best. Summer days are always an adventure, from day camp to rec leagues and pool days. Abercrombie Kids has the shorts, tees, and swim to keep them comfy and keep up with them. Get everything for the entire summer at Abercrombie Kids. Shop in-store, online, or in the app.
And I will sing a lullaby. Boy, you're gonna carry that weight. Carry that weight a long time.
Yeah, that was beautiful, my friend. I don't want to take away from that. Absolutely beautiful, but what the hell was that?
What do you mean? I'm singing about lullabies for the podcast?
I can see where the confusion is. Honest mistake, but we're talking about lulls today. Lulls, not lullabies.
Wait a minute, I have my notes right here. It says lulls. Well, fuck me. Proceed, I guess. Looks like it's mac and cheese and leftovers this week. I'm not getting paid.
I hate to burst your bubble again here, my friend, but I don't think you do get paid.
What are you talking about? I'm the cash cow of this podcast. Guess the joke's on you, buddy.
All voices on the Living Artist Podcast are fictional, or are impressions of famous people, all perpetrated by Preston M. Smith of the Living Artist Podcast. TM. No voice or vocal representation has been paid for this podcast.
Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. Coming to you live from the floor again. Yeah, I'm in the midst of some intense treatments, and the treatments and illness are currently kicking my ass. I'm kicking my own ass. Do you mind? Bonus points to anybody who can get that film reference. You should be able to get it. Anyway, welcome back to the podcast. And I figured I would go with what is current, which is a lull, since I'm experiencing a lull due to my illness. We all experience lulls in our careers and in our art sales. And I figured, I would talk about best ways to utilize that time and to kind of get refocused, recalibrated while you're experiencing a lull. And this doesn't have to be if you're selling. Like, I've been selling pretty well this year, even though I've been, dealing with this illness. I've sold over 20 paintings this year, and, it's not bad, but it's not where I want to be. But anyway, I'm doing my best. And, what do you do when you're experiencing a lull? And if you are just starting out, or you're not really in the kind of, I'm in the sales groove yet, and you haven't been selling consistently your art, that's okay. Because all of this applies to, getting started with your sales as well. Not just getting through a lull in sales, but like getting over that first initial hump of trying to get some sales. So we're going to talk about that right now. So There's a lot of crap going on in the world. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear mongering. There's a lot of madness and violence and uncertainty going on in the world. And it's affecting everybody. It's affecting our mindsets. It's affecting our mental health. It's affecting sales for sure. I mean, the tariffs alone, people were uncertain if those applied to art, but just the general fear and madness that's going on in the world right now. People are a little bit tight with their pocketbook and they're not buying as much art. And I'm on a lot of art marketplaces. I'm on the board of an art marketplace. Like I know that there are some lulls in sales and everybody's experiencing that across the board. And that's okay. That happens from time to time. There's always an ebb and flow to everything in life. And there's an ebb and flow to your art sales as well. I've experienced that many times since I've been doing art full time for about 10 years now. Obviously I've been doing it for 20 plus, but full time for 10 plus years now. I've experienced many of those. And yes, I've been consistent throughout that time for me. But there are times where it ebbs and flows and we have to be prepared for that. So what I do when there's a lull or when you're just starting out and you're trying to get over that hump, that initial sales hump, is it's a good time to get refocused energetically. And what I mean by that is getting hung up on the fact that there is a bunch of madness going on in the world and everybody's scared to, spend money and nobody's buying art. And then you hear other artists saying, I'm not doing well right now. Art marketplaces aren't doing well. Galleries aren't doing well right now. That kind of seeps into your subconscious and it gets into you energetically and it does block your sales. So what I do in these types of times. And yes, while I've been going through this illness, I've had to do this a lot too. And it's actually been a very big challenge for me because first of all, when you feel like you're dying and you're close to dying many times, you don't really, feel energetically aligned with your sales. So I've had to really work on my mindset and it has paid off. So you refocus your energy. I come from an abundance state. I get really focused in on the fact that there's an abundance of wealth out there still, which is true. I mean, you could focus on the negative and the fear and the tight wads out there, but you can also focus on the fact that there's a lot of people who thrive even in bad times. And there's a lot of money out there. There's a lot of markets that are doing well. There's a lot of people who are trying to buy art and, even double down on art right now and make investments in art. So I like to focus on that. And I like to go, you know what? Yes, there's an abundance of money out there. There's still an abundance of art collectors and buyers. And why wouldn't they buy my art? My art's good. I've been, tried and true. I've been tested. I have a big catalog of work. I've made sales. Or if you haven't made sales, you have a good catalog of work. You're consistent with your work and it's quality. So why wouldn't they buy your work? And whenever I do that, sometimes that alone, if I get really focused in on that and if I really get centered and I get in my energetic flow of abundance and that mindset, a lot of times that just kind of takes care of itself and the sales start coming in. And I start visualizing the sales coming in. I start visualizing them like I used to visualize them flowing out the studio, like out the windows, like packaged going out to here, going out to this country, going out to this state, going out to this city, going out to this collector. And I would just kind of envision that flow. And it really gets you tuned into that. At that point, when I really was doing my best with that, I made 27 sales in a month one time. And they were sizable sales. Like some of them were small, but some were medium and large sales too. So, it really does work. And I've tapped into this many different times and I've noticed when my energy's off that my sales are off as well. So that's the first thing you can do is get energetically realigned and recalibrated. That's very important. The other thing to do is just to double down on some of the things that you can do that are administrative or are just doing the work. Things like getting in the studio and painting more consistently, kind of building up your body of work, doing more gallery submissions, doing more grant submissions, applying for more residencies, doing the uploading of work onto the art marketplaces you are on, getting more consistent with that. I've always told people it's about a consistency of routine of getting these things up there, getting into the algorithm. And people listen for the most part, but they kind of, they lose focus after a while and sometimes they drop off and then they go, well, I'm not making sales. And it's like, well, you can't just be consistent for 2 weeks or you can't be just consistent for 3 months. You have to be consistent. I've been consistent even through, the 4.5 years, 5 years of this illness. I've still stayed consistent because it's important to me and it keeps my business and my art, flowing and thriving. So I'm not going to say it's not hard, but you have to do it. You have to be consistent and you have to get your work out there. You have to try to get your work in front of eyeballs, whether that's collectors' eyeballs or galleries' eyeballs or, art marketplace eyeballs or, curators' eyeballs. You just have to get your work out there. You have to double down on your production. I don't mean like you have to double your production. I just mean you have to get in there and get refocused and start putting out work that you're proud of consistently, and then start getting it out there consistently and make your submissions consistent. So that's number 2. Doubling down on the production and the consistency and the submissions, getting your stuff out there. Number 3 would be, and it kind of piggybacks off of number 1, which is getting more energetically aligned, but it's taking it a step further. Getting energetically aligned with your presence online. If things aren't working for you or there's a lull or you're blocked energetically, sometimes putting some of that energy towards other people is powerful. What I used to do is I would start to go on to Instagram. Now, I haven't been on Instagram in 8 or 9 months, and you know why if you listen to this podcast. But when I was on Instagram for many years, and I will be back on there, I would double down on like going out there and being, a supporter of others, supporting other people's art, and not just doing it from a place of like, I'm doing this so my sales pick up. That's fine. You might be doing it that way, but you have to really get aligned with the feeling of actually giving supportive energy out there towards other artists. You start liking their work, you start commenting on their work. Maybe you go on to an online art marketplace and you start combing through the abstract or whatever your medium is. Let's say you're a sculptor or you're a photographer, or maybe you do landscape work, or maybe you do portraiture, or maybe you do abstract, whatever your genre is. Go in there, or maybe go into different genres too. I like to do that. I like to change it up a little bit, but you go in there and you start supporting other artists. You start liking their stuff. You click on their work. You start going through their images. You don't just click. You can do that too, but you start to go through and really support other people's work, because likes help other artists, and, clicking on their pages help them, and it gets them more eyeballs, and it gets them more algorithmic juice. Well, that's a good name for a band. We're algorithmic juice. So it gets you more of that, algorithmic magic for those people. And you got to believe that when you do that, when you support other artists, and that can be, physically too, going to galleries, going to shows, supporting people in their shows, supporting, when somebody has a solo show or a group show or a pop-up show somewhere, do your support. Like, you don't have to run yourself into the ground, but go out there and be selectively supportive when you can, when it doesn't zap you of too much energy. And you go out and you do that. And you do it online too. You give them likes. You support social media platforms. Maybe you seek out some other artists. You can reach out to them and start a dialogue. Whatever that means for you, supporting them and getting energy out to them in a like unique and actually legitimate way, like an honest way, not coming from a place of being fake so it comes back to you, but because you actually support them. That was a big thing for me when I turned a corner, was like really wanting to believe in other artists' success. And when I started to believe in other artists' success, I started to believe in my own as well. And you wouldn't believe how much of a difference that made. So that's number 3.
Is anyone out there?
Another salesperson enduring the endless search. Exhausting. If you want to get right to the right conversations, you need LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Whether you're looking for new leads or strengthening existing relationships at your top accounts, get right to the right conversations with LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Try LinkedIn Sales Navigator now with a free 60-day trial at linkedin.com/trial. That's linkedin.com/trial.
Terms and conditions apply!
This episode is brought to you by San Pellegrino. A meal isn't just about what's on your plate. It's about what you bring to the table. San Pellegrino believes the table is where the best of life happens. That's what makes gathering around it so rich and rewarding. And with their unique sparkling natural mineral water, San Pellegrino brings its best so you can bring yours.
You can, really go out there and selflessly support other artists. And yes, a lot of times that ends up coming around in a karmic way to you. Let's see if I can do a little bonus one here so this doesn't get too long, and then we'll wrap it up for the day so I can get back to my treatments. Well, okay, another bonus one would be, just doing some thinking outside the box, putting on your entrepreneurial hat and thinking about some ways that you can drum up some sales in, not just waiting for a sale to happen online or waiting for a gallery to get you in front of the right collectors or waiting for somebody on social media to discover you and make a sale. Start thinking outside the box. Maybe you can start pounding the pavement and you reach out to local community centers or something with the government, or try to get your work out there in public. If you don't do a lot of stuff outside or murals, maybe you can start thinking about, oh, maybe I can get into some mural work or some public arts work, or maybe I can start doing more studio visits and having people come. I can, advertise an open studio, have some people come into my studio, things like that, things that you haven't done or you haven't done in a while or you've never done. Start thinking of some of those things that you've never done. They get you out there in a way that, yes, shakes off some of the cobwebs and gets you out of your comfort zone and gets you doing something that maybe you have never done before. You wouldn't believe what kind of energy that opens up for you too. It's like, oh, okay, I see you. You're pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. You can't believe what that can do for you sometimes, pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. It allows you to grow and kind of feel a different space. So, a lot of times you'll generate some sales that way, or you'll generate another opportunity that way, or another contact, or somebody who, like a great art friend who you end up, showing art with down the road, or you end up, collaborating with on some level, or some sort of like government agency goes, oh, I really love your work. I would have never seen you another way. We want to buy 20 of your pieces for the local city hall or something. I mean, who knows? It could be a hotel thing. It could be anything. Just start thinking outside of the box. Start putting on your entrepreneurial hat and start doing some different things that can get your work out in front of the public eye. It's like, again, going back to the Basquiat stuff, and yeah, you can say Shepard's Ferry and Banksy do all this very well now, but they wouldn't have done it without people like, Keith Haring and Jean-Michel Basquiat. These people were getting their art out there in the public eye in a way that was different from what other artists were conventionally doing. And it got attention, and they ended up crossing over into that realm of the fine art world and then being a very successful fine artist as well. So sometimes you just have to think outside the box, put on a different hat, get out there and get her done. So that's it. The top 3 and then the bonus one. Those are all very important. If you can do that first one alone, you're setting yourself up for success. If you can do 2 out of 4 of these, even better. If you can do 4 out of 4 of these, like, watch out, seriously. And don't just expect results in a day or a week or even a month. Sometimes that happens. I get results sometimes when I get really focused. I've done stuff, and maybe it's because I've established it, but sometimes when I energetically refocus or recalibrate, I've seen a sale on a marketplace that I was putting effort into literally the next day. So it can happen. But also, don't be discouraged if it doesn't happen right away. Just know that you're putting all of this energetic and karmic input into almost like artistic savings account. It's going to be, you can withdraw it at some point down the road or right now if you want. It's going to benefit you. So hopefully this was helpful for you. I'm going to get back to my treatments, and yeah, looking forward to getting you another episode next week. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Be good to yourselves as always. Be good to everybody else out there. And we'll see you next time on the next episode. I'm kicking my own ass. Do you mind?
Don't even pay me. Not gonna do an outro for these clowns. Not a performing monkey. No De Niro, no outro. That's my motto. So long, suckers indeed. Suckers.
This has been the Living Artist Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I just want you to know that I appreciate you being here, and I'm grateful to be in your ears. Your art and creative life on this planet is meaningful, so thank you for sharing it with me. If you like this podcast, whatever platform you're listening to it on, please subscribe and share it with your friends. You can also leave me a positive review to show your support. This helps me to reach more people with the algorithmic magic and keep the show going strong. If you want to see more of what I do and check out the art that I create, you can visit my website at www.pmsartwork.com or follow me on social media everywhere at PMS Artwork. That's it for now. See you back here next time.